Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi guys, let me introduce myself and my partner. I am Riska Amalia and my partner is Nadiya Nahdah and Rezki Fitri Sari. In this presentation, we will discuss about the romantic period. Check it out! What is the romantic period? The romantic period is a term applied to the literature of approximately the first third of the 19th century. During this time, literature began to move in channels that were not entirely new but were in strong contrast to the standard literary practice of the 18th century. The beginning of the romantic period was very dramatic. The King Louis XVI and his wife were executed. Revolutionary France declared war on England. In England, this was a period of harsh, repressive measures. Public meetings were prohibited, habeas corpus was suspended, and advocates of even moderate political change were charged with high treason of war. It was also a time when profound economic and social changes were creating a desperate need for corresponding changes in political arrangement, and new cases were beginning to make a voice in government proportionate to their work. The reign of Queen Victoria was very long. England went through a great progress, but the period was not so quick and peaceful at all. The Romantic period was a very turbulent period, during which England experienced the ordeal of change from a primarily agricultural society to a modern industrial nation. French Revolution and storming of the Bastille had a great influence on English society and literature. It influenced almost every sphere of life. The Industrial Revolution began in the 18th century in Great Britain. It was only the first stepping stone to the modern economic growth that is still growing to this day. With this new bustling economic power force, Britain was able to become one of the strongest nations. There are two causes of the Industrial Revolution. One, the Agricultural Revolution. Between 1750 and 1900, Europe's population was dramatically increasing, so it became necessary to change the way that food was being produced in order to make way for this change. Two, socio-economic changes. Prior to the Industrial Revolution, the European economy was based on agriculture. From the aristocrats to the farmers, they were living by land and crops. The wealthy landowners would rent land to the farmers, who would in turn grow and sell crops. The French Revolution, beginning in 1789 and ending in 1799. The French Revolution played a crucial role in transforming the political and social system in France. During the Revolution, France changed from a monarchy to a republic of free citizens. This drastic move not only changed the political and social system, but it also has a huge impact on the literary world. Writers like William Blake saw the revolution as society falling back into perfection, where people could express their own opinion.
everyone. So I will introduce the famous writers and their works in Romantical period. So the famous writers on Romantical period, the one of them is William Wordsworth. William Wordsworth was born at Wordsworth House, Cockermouth, on England. Wordsworth was the second of 5 children born to John Wordsworth and Anne Coxon. He gained knowledge of poetry and literature from his father. William and sister Dorothy Wordsworth, familiar with poetry and literary works such as Milton, Shakespeare, and Spenser. After the death of his mother in 1778, his father sent William to grammar schools, and at 1787, Wordsworth began writing when he published a sonnet in the European magazine. In 1791, received his bachelor's degree at St. John's College, Cambridge. In 1798, William and Dorothy traveled to Germany, and where a number of his famous works were written, like the Lucy Poem and an autobiography entitled The Prelude. And finally, in 1802, William married his childhood friend Mary Atkinson. And then in 1805, the first part of his autobiography during the year 1805 until 1813, William wrote a number of works that led him to be known as one of the most famous romantic poets in British history. The Recluse, which is the first part of his autobiography, as well as one of his canons, and was deeply affected by the death of his brother John. In 1807, published a collection of his poems entitled Poems in 2 volumes. And then, in 1838, William Wordsworth obtained his doctorate from Durham University and from Oxford the following year. In 1843, succeeded Robert Sari as poet laureate, but fortunately, 4 years later, one of his daughters, Dora, passed away. Since then, William Wordsworth stopped writing. And finally, in 1815 in Cumberland, England, the poet who is famous for his poems that carry a lot of meaning and romance predeceased and was buried in the church of St. Oswald, Grasmere. And the more important point you need to know, guys, William Wordsworth and his literary works such as lyrical ballads, poems in 2 volumes, the excursions, and the prelude.